YouTube, welcome back. Today we got something pretty cool. I think I say that every video, but I really like working on trailers. They're kind of where I'd say probably my bread and butter is. Not that I'm good at it, it just seems to be my thing. Today we have this 2015 PJ 7x14 dump trailer. It's got a couple things. The big thing that is needed here, and it's going to be hard to see on camera, but this tire wears unevenly. This is the second tire this owner's had on this trailer, and we're all the way down past the wear bar on the inside shoulder, and then have probably an 1/8 inch more tread on the outside shoulder. You can see there's grooves here, and there's nothing there, just smooth. So my assumption is that this axle's straight and this axle is crooked. So this driver's side tire is further back than the passenger side tire. So what I want to do is I want to measure. First I'm going to jack this whole thing up and level it, and then I'm going to pull all 4 wheels off, and then I'm going to measure center of this hub to center of that hub. I'm going to measure that on both sides and compare them. My assumption is that this driver's side, those hub centers are going to be closer together than on the passenger side. I would guess somewhere between that amount of wear, between 1/2 inch and 1 inch. And it's going to be, the trailer will still pull straight, but you're just going to kill one tire most likely. I didn't see any uneven wear on the passenger side, but let's go take a look at that. So here on the passenger side, I don't see a difference in wear. I can brighten you guys up just a little bit. That looks pretty good on the front tire. Then if we roll around onto the rear tire, that looks really good too. Which the front tire, I don't know if they're the same age. They're the exact same tire. If they're the same age, this one's more worn than the rear tire is. And so possibly this tire's wearing out unevenly as well. Just across the tread, it's wearing out evenly. So I'm gonna jack this up and get the 4 tires off, get it level, and then we can put, once the whole trailer's level, then we can put a level on each hub face to see if our camber's good, and then we can measure everything. The other thing we need to measure too, that's very important, is that we need to make sure that center line of this ball is equal distant to the spring shackle on that axle, on the front side of this axle and the other axle, and then that our spring center is the same axle to axle. The other thing that's possible is that the axles aren't centered side to side or perpendicular to the center line of the trailer. And check that each axle is centered to the center line of the trailer once we have all the wheels off. So let's get this thing jacked up, get it leveled as closely as we can, and then start measuring. Trailer's jacked up and leveled. It's leveled on the load deck, side to side and front to back. So now I'm gonna rip these wheels off, both sides, and I'm going to measure between the axles and then each axle perch to the tip of the ball, and we'll see how we're sitting. I chose a bad day. It's a blizzard. It's coming down pretty good, but I want to real quickly update you where we're at. So this is my setup to measure dead center. This piece of 1/2 inch square tube is perfectly centered in the hitch clamp there, and then I have tape clamped to the bottom of it. So I originally thought the issue was the front axle on the driver's side. I'm standing on the passenger side right now, but I thought it was the front axle on the driver's side. What I've done is I've measured to the first spring perch, to the first lug, to the second spring perch, and both sides are identical. So this axle is triangulated to the hitch. I've also measured center line of the trailer out to the brake face, and it's centered. So then I measured back to this point. I measured front spring perch to middle spring perch to rear spring perch. Both sides are identical. And then I saw this. This is the passenger side. Let's lighten you up a little bit. This is the passenger side rear spring, and the way these work is the front of the spring is an eyelet and it's hard mounted. The rear spring actually just slides as the spring lengthens and stuff. It just slides on this pad in here. So see how far that is out. If we come around to this side. Now once again, I measured front spring perch, middle spring perch to rear spring perch. It's the exact same, but notice this spring doesn't stick out at all. So if I measure from this hub, center of the hub to center of the hub, that side is 3/4 of an inch wider than this side, which I was expecting that, and that's why we're getting uneven wear on that tire. I thought it was a front axle. Turns out this rear axle is further back. What I think has happened is this spring has settled from there to there, causing it to be more flat, which has pushed this axle back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some jack stands under this axle, support the axle, and remove both springs and measure them. And then I can compare them to the front axle springs. But what I think is gonna end up needing to happen is we're gonna have to replace either one or both of the rear axle leaf spring packs. Once again, I triangulated everything to the tongue. So I have a perfect triangle from this point, center of the hitch, to this spring perch, to that spring perch, and to that spring perch. I also have a perfect triangle from center of the hitch to this hub and to the other hub. There's the leaf packs off the rear axle. If we sit these up, that PR stands for passenger side rear, and the DR stands for driver side rear. So it's not super obvious just sitting like this. I mean, you can see it a little bit, but I'm going to tip those up so the eyelets are aligned, and that's the most critical thing because those are always going to be aligned on the trailer. So I pinned through all of them, or both of them. If we look right here, can you see how different those two bolts are in position? Let's look straight down. That is what aligns the axles. So I don't know which one of these spring packs is bad, but they're not the same as one another. So you can even see it over here. They're not the same. So there's your, that's about 1/2 inch at least, if you're looking straight down. So I gotta go shop and see if I can find some spring packs and see if we can figure out which one of these is bad. I'm kind of thinking this lower one is bad because it's the longer one, which was the passenger side rear. It probably got sprung or bounced hard or something super heavy got dropped in the trailer and just sprung those springs. The top spring seems to have almost the exact same contour, or maybe they were just, one was mismade or something, I don't know. But they're 6 leaf packs. So I'm gonna go see if I can find any 6 leaf packs here in town. So I bought a new leaf pack. You can see these are aligned much better. So pinned there, they're aligned. This is the one that's about 1/2 inch off. So those leaf packs are going really well. I was surprised how expensive they are. There's only one leaf pack in town, otherwise I would have been tempted to replace both. I also got new hardware for the axle and spring pins and spring bushings. Can't see those very well. Now you can. And then the other part of this project that I haven't told you guys about is one of the gates on the rear of that is bent. So let's go take a look at that. So if you look, it might be harder to see, but that gap grows at the bottom and closes at the top. And then you might be able to see right there how out of square the door is. It only closes that far. And then if you look close, you can see the door sticks out on bottom and is in on top. This hinge here is bent, so I have a new hinge to weld on. So I'm gonna get the grinder with the skinny wheel. We'll cut this latch mechanism off, cut the hinge off, weld the new hinge on, and then we gotta modify this because the new latch mechanism that I bought is just a little different. So we'll have to drill a bigger hole there. These are a 3/8 or a 1/2 inch pin, and the new one's a 5/8 inch pin. So be a little bit of modifying there, but not too bad. Let me get the skinny wheel out and we'll cut this whole hinge off. We are within a 1/16 side to side, and I haven't clamped the axles down yet, so it'll probably be perfect.